Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about how you set up your control panel for TCN Room 4. This is also the room that you will utilize for your lab and a pretty popular test out room here. So we will talk about how you set it up for a normal patient exam that we would be doing in the department, and then how you would do that for your lab in your test outs. So the first screen I want you to look at is this archiving information. It's just a blank screen, so that way we don't have any patient information present on the screen when we're gone. So when you exit the room, just make sure that's selected. You'll see examined patients here. These are for patients whose exams have been completed in this room, and we could click on that and find a study if we needed to go back into it for any reason, such as sending an image or changing an annotation. Over here, you'll see this one that says pre-registered patients. If I click it, it brings you to the screen, and the first thing that we want you to do is update your work list. So it's this little loop button here. If I hover over it, it says update risk work list. I'll click it, and you'll notice the screen goes blank for a second and then information pops back up. What that is it's just updating this screen to make sure that it reflects what's currently on the work list. So if an exam was done in a different room, it might take that off of here. If you couldn't find your patient information, just refresh it again, but that's where you would find your patient information. You'll notice you'll have the patient's name, ID, their birthday, their gender, and then what exam they're having done with us. Verify your patient's information all the way across the screen. And when that's your correct patient and the correct exam you're looking to do, you would just double click it and it'll bring you to your control panel. When you're doing these for your lab and your test outs, you will do these under an emergency exam scenario. So what that would be is this button right here. It's a little guy and a little keyboard. If you hover over it, it says create new study. So I'm going to click that, and what that does is it brings me to this work list here. This is where you could enter in information if you needed to in a real emergency examination, but for your lab and your test out, you won't have to enter anything in. You don't have to enter in your name or anything along here for test outs, and for labs you would just leave this blank. You would click this button here under emergency when you're finished with that screen, and then what this brings you to is it brings you to your available exams, and it'll bring you to your control panel setup on here. So we're going to add exams from the left side over to the right for things that we want to image. So let's say that we want to take a chest x-ray and a pelvis x-ray on someone. We're going to look through here and find what part I'm looking for. Now if you can't find the exact part, you might just have to click in what area it is. So for example, ribs are under chest. When we go through here, you'll notice there's these plus icons next to them. You would click on the plus icon, and this will show you all the routines that we could potentially do pertaining to someone's chest. So we have chest x-rays, we have rib x-rays, we have sternum x-ray. When we're looking through here, these are your routines that we would want to do. So I would find the routine I want, which might be this 2-view chest x-ray routine. It'll turn blue when you click on it, and then you're going to click add, and it brings you to this side. Now, let's say that I needed a specific view, and maybe I knew that it was under the decube section, but it might not be under this 2-view chest section. You can click it and click the individual view that you're looking to, and also click add, and it'll just put it at the bottom of this routine here. So you can add the routine itself, and you can also add the view you're looking to do. Now, when you are doing your test outs in your labs, you'll notice that every now and then there might be a specific view that doesn't have something listed here. So just do your best you can to find what's close to it. If you couldn't find it, just let us know if you couldn't find it. So I have the chest done. You can click the little button here to minimize it. I'm going to go down and I find pelvis. Same concept, I'll click that plus button, find what I would like to image here. And let's just say we're doing a hip. I'm going to add it, and it'll add that hip routine down here. So you can keep plugging along, plug everything in that you need or the individual views, and once you're all set, you'll click examination. This brings you to your exam tab here. Your emergency information is present here, and then this is your control panel here, and your exposure button off on the side. You would click the view that you're looking to do. So you would just have to click and go through. On your test outs, you'll show us that you'll be selected under this specific view. So it's always going to be black as the one that is selected. And a couple things with these. So you'll notice that it has a W There's one that has an X, and there's one that has a T. What that means is that this is going to be to the wall Bucky. So you'll see this little icon here. X would be for free plate, and T would be if we're doing this X-ray to the table. So just keep those in mind when you are clicking on them to make sure you're clicking for the right area, that we intend to do this to the wall or to the free plate. Now, we have everything selected, we know where everything is, we want to be on the right stuff. We're going to find down here a couple different options. So here is your KVP in your mass, and then the other thing I just want to point out, and it'll make more sense along the line, is this button right here. So KVP, I can click, I can change it. My mass, I can click, I can change it. And then this button down here is for your AEC chambers. So you might want to select a specific chamber instead, and you could click on here and click anything you needed to. The black indicates that the chamber would be the one that we select, the ones that are active. So that's how you would set up and change everything. When everything was all good to go to X-ray, like a normal patient, you would get a ready icon here. It would have a green check mark, and it would just say ready across the screen here. So you can change and manipulate anything that you might need to. When you do your room orientations, we'll go more into the post-processing and documentation. Again, your exposure button is just right over here. And as you're going through, just make sure you select everything. When you're done with your study, as if you're doing the lab or if you were doing your test outs, you would just click on patient. There is nothing for you to send. There is no exposures taken under the lab or under the test outs. So you would just click back on patient to get out of this screen, and then just make sure when you leave, you put that archived information on that screen so there's no patient information present. So that's a really quick rundown about how you would set up a room for a registered patient to do an exam in the department, and how you would do these for your test outs and for your lab work.